delicious cakes for any occasion with a personal touch of care and creativity for each customer's special occasion. Quinones is located at 106 West Verona Avenue in Pleasantville, New Jersey, 609-641-2942. Also located at 4100 Ventnor Avenue in Atlantic City, New Jersey, 609-344-8627. You will be sweetly delighted.
AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio welcomes you to Your Play with Q, live from the studios at Longport Media.
Good Wednesday edition of Back Your Play coming at you live inside the friendly confines of the AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio studios. I'm your host, as always, Rich Quinones. 2 hours to play with. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up on this 4th of May 2022. Don't forget the 609-445-1490. That'll get you involved in 2A Sports Talk. Bring something to the table at Rich Q on Q. We are, as we do, live on the YouTube channel as well. So you can stream us, like, comment, share. As I mentioned, we'll take you up to 6 straight up. Hope everyone had a good Sports Tuesday as we are kind of nestled in on a Wednesday, getting over the hump. With, I guess you can say, a question to start the show, so to speak. And I'm not really that guy that asks questions or throws them out, but when is it time as a Sixer fan? When do you guys turn around and say, you know what? It's not even about James Harden anymore. Forget about James Harden. We're not even there with James Harden. Let's just move on. Let's move past it. Forget it. And it's just a situation where it is what it is. And I hate to say that. And I know people hate saying that. I know people can't stand when somebody does the old, it is what it is. I'm right there with you. But let us just kind of move forward past that and say this. At this point, other players will have to step up for the Philadelphia 76ers. So this whole, I don't even want to call it a dilemma right now with James Harden not being the type of player that he once was. I mean, we kind of know that. What more do you want to see? The evidence is right there. He's not that guy. So Doc's got to figure out, all right, I don't mind if he's on the floor, but I want to take the ball out of his hands, which means let me have Maxey go out there and create, facilitate, dish, spread it open a little bit. Perimeter shooters, right? Go small. Forget about DeAndre Jordan and his minus 22 and all that crap and nonsense. Get him the hell off the floor. No big man again tonight. No Embiid for the Philadelphia 76ers. No Lowry for Miami. But if Miami continues to get the type of production they got off the bench, like in game 1 with Hero, 25 points, it's a different animal, man. It's a whole new different animal. I look at this and I say to myself, other players have to want to take the shot. Other players want to shine in the moment, whether it's a Harris or a Maxey or a and I'm just throwing out names. I'm just throwing, even guys coming off the bench, the Paul Reeds, the Bassies of the world. Guys have to step up and you got to bail out. You got to sell out. You got to help out your teammates. Because right now, if you're expecting, and all the national heads and the pundits and the talking heads and the yap, everyone's talking about James Harden. Everyone and their mother. Forget about the max contract. Forget about the contract extension. Forget about turning around and giving him max money or re-signing him. He's not the player he once was. Well, listen. Okay, but you turned around and you traded Simmons and you made the move for James Harden with the expectation that James Harden was going to be that type of player. And it hasn't reared positive results. It hasn't. And tonight, as the Sixers are getting 8.5, maybe 8, depending upon where you hang your hat. no Lowry for Miami, no Embiid for the 76ers. If you want to make this a series, you got to figure out a way to win one tonight. You have to. You can't go down 0-2. You really can't. Doesn't matter if you're going back to Philadelphia on Friday. You got to be able to win one game. Try to get that game tonight. Make it a series. Weather the early storm of the Miami Heat. I mean, look, it was kind of a back and forth first half where it was a 1-point game going into the locker room. But I know it's easier said than done, right? Everyone looks at James Harden and we just, everyone wants to kind of just pick on James Harden. And I get it. I get it, man. He's an easy target, right? He's an easy target. The problem is when you don't have a ton of depth, it starts to rear its ugly head. And listen, the talk of Harden re-signing, is he going to take less than the max? I don't know. You might not even have Doc Rivers coaching this team next year. As crazy as that sounds. The Sixers at this moment of time, they are not a deep team. Okay? They're not a deep team. They're just not. Miami is a deep team. Tyler Hero won the Sixth Man of the Year award for this season, right? Vincent provided a little bit of a spark without Lowry. Oladipo gives you something, right? So for all that depth that Miami has, the Philadelphia 76ers can't match up with it. They can't. I mean, I can't turn around on good faith. I can't turn around with the utmost confidence and say, hey, Niang, Thibault, Milton, come on off the bench. I can't. Niang is a nice player, but he's not on the level of a Hero. He's not. So like I said, possessions are key. Open looks, open shots, converting, knocking them down. It's where you got to be if you're the Philadelphia 76ers, man. But this argument, this idea that it's all on James Harden, I'm over it. I kind of got over it after they closed out Toronto, when you kind of take a step back and you say he's just not that guy anymore. And I don't think that's who he wants to be. And maybe there's nothing wrong with that. But remember, a year or so ago, where were we? A year or so ago, everyone was talking about James Harden. Everyone was talking about the Philadelphia 76ers need to make a trade for James Harden. I mean, it was just as clear as day, right? Everyone was saying, get James Harden, go and get James Harden. All right, so here we are. And right now, he's not the player he was, especially those first couple games of the season. Remember when they were winning those games? The role players have to step up. So you have in one player, James Harden, who shies away, right? It's not who he is. Now, the antithesis of that in Philadelphia is a 23-year-old quarterback, Jalen Hurts, that basically comes out and says, you know what? It's my opportunity. This is my team. I'm ready to go. You want to hear that. It's exactly what you want if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan. This is the guy you want on that wall in Jalen Hurts. 23. Still greener than the grass outside on a spring morning. But yet, this kid, he's got a little juice. He's got a little swagger. He's got a little confidence. And isn't that what you want? Now, it helps that I'm going to match up with your buddy, A.J. Brown. It helps. You got a solid tight end. You got a good offensive line. You got some good running backs. You got another weapon in Smith. But if you're an Eagles fan, you love the fact that Jalen Hurts comes out and says, quote, it's understood It's my opportunity. It's my team. It's pretty much what it is. My team, so I am ready to go. Bam! Run through a freaking brick wall for this guy. You love to hear that. Whether it translates into wins, playoff appear, whatever. The fact that he's already ingratiated himself to his teammates, he's already backed by the fan base. You know, we talked about that divide here and there. Listen, Carson Wentz isn't saying anything like that. Hell, Donovan was so passive-aggressive. It wasn't genuine. I mean, listen, the O-line's good. The running backs are good. The tight end's good. He's got weapons. If the offense isn't good, if it isn't great, then guess what? There's nowhere else to point the finger if you're Jalen Hurts to yourself. So what he's doing right now, he's turning around and he's saying to himself, hey, it's on me. It's on me. And I'm ready to shine. I'm ready to shine. And isn't that what you want to hear? That is backing your play. That's what you want to hear. It's right there for this kid. Whether you're a Hurts doubter or not, whether you're a Hurts backer or not, when you say the right things and you can back it up, and look, I understand you're not going to be able to just run around and scramble. You got to throw the football a little bit. You know, you got to make better decisions. But I'm telling you, and I'm not an Eagles fan, but I love the confidence this kid has because everyone was setting him up, waiting for him to fail, to fall flat on his keister. They were. They were. I was not sold on Jalen Hurts. But the three things that I liked about him was that he was gritty, he was tough, and he's a gamer. And you love to see that. You love to hear that, right? That's something that if I'm a teammate of his, man, you got me, man. You got me, brother. I'm in the foxhole with you. I'm in the trenches. Now you say it. Now you got to go out and deliver. Now you got to go out and back it up. Now you got to back your play. And if you're Jalen Hurts, man, you put the bullseye on your back. And I think that's a role he relishes. I think Jalen Hurts has this quiet confidence where he just kind of knows, you know, it's almost understood. It's innate. He walks around with it every day saying, you know what, you want to down me, 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 go ahead. And I'll prove you all wrong. And the fact that he comes out and says, my time, man, my opportunity, my team. If you're a teammate and you hear that, now I get it. What is he supposed to say? He's not going to turn around and say, oh, I'm not ready for this. No, but he has that chip on his shoulder, man. And I root for players like that. I love players like that. If you're going to walk it, walk it. If you're going to talk it and back it up. But you'll love to hear that. You'll love to hear that if you're an Eagles fan today. So like I said, you have on one side of the spectrum, a veteran, one of the all-time great scorers in NBA history in James Harden that just doesn't want that spotlight on him. He doesn't want the opportunity to shine. It's just not him. It never was. It never will be. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you got a 23-year-old basically saying, I am the franchise quarterback. I am the leader of this team. I'm ready to take the ball and shine. It's amazing. Some athletes have it and some don't. Now, it's still yet to be seen. It's early on in Jalen Hurts' career. But the fact that he turns around and he said what he said, you got to feel good if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Now, you got to win on Sunday. Don't get me wrong. All right, 16 past the 4 o'clock hour. Just cranking up on a Wednesday edition of Back Your Play. Corey Parson will join us in the 4 o'clock hour. Lloyd Vance as well. Ryan Rothstein in his weekly spot in the 5 o'clock hour. You out there as well, 609-445-1490. Get the tweets coming at Rich Q on Q. Hashtag BYP. Quickie timeout. We'll come back on the other side.
Let me tell you about Gary's Red
restaurant. Breakfast and lunch is all they serve. They do a great job in Edmond for many years there. 831 New Road in Pleasantville. It's the place to meet where locals love to eat. Seafood omelet for breakfast, $15.29. Breakfast quesadilla, $12.29. Belgian waffle, boys, that are good. $12.25. Eggs Benedict, $12.89. If you want crab meat, $15.29. And how about this one? One of my favorites, stuffed French toast, $12.29. That's Gary's, open from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day, holidays included. They will be open on New Year's Day. Gary's, you will enjoy. Gary's located there at 131 New Road. If you want directions or anything, you can call them 609-383-9980. 609-383-9980. Place to meet where all the locals love to eat.
Hello, New Jersey. Switching to Geico is a good idea, especially when you consider everything.
First off, Geico makes it easy to switch. They have licensed agents available 24/7, online or over the phone.
But having a trusted insurer in your life can make you feel so secure that you want to do something dangerous like run through a cactus patch, and that never ends well.
Well, if you switch to Geico, you can save hundreds on car insurance, and you could keep saving by bundling your motorcycle, boat, and RV, plus your home renter's insurance.
But saving money might make you want to giggle gleefully, and when your mouth's open, a stray acorn could fall in there. It happens a lot, actually.
Well, they do have an industry-leading mobile app you can use to pay your bill, file and manage a claim, or add a new driver. And they offer discounts for military and federal employees.
And that might make you
What's going on, everyone?
start whistling all the time. Who likes whistling? Name one person.
Well, Geico is the largest car insurer in the state. And it's been
Had to get more of my coffee.
5 years. It's hard to beat that.
But you're right.
Switch to Geico. It's obviously a good idea.
I'm Seth Grossman from libertyandprosperity.com. For years, the ACUA, the Atlantic Cable Utility Authority, braved with its high wind turbines and nuclear weapon to produce enough electricity to power 2,500 homes. Is that true? If so, why after 16 winters, weren't these 5 wind turbines ever used to power a single home? Why weren't they ever used to power the offices in the ACUA? Those single boom turbines were classroom at Stockton College. Why don't they want us to see for ourselves how reliable wind energy is? Why don't they want us to know how much oil and natural gas we need to back up wind turbines and how much they cost? Before we triple our electric bills and spend billions to build wind turbines all over the ocean, should we first learn more about the 5 we already have in place? Learn more at libertyandprosperity.com. Help us reach more people. Learn what we can learn. Learn what we can do to triple down the and unmake them. Libertyandprosperity.com.
You're listening to Backward Forward Q on AM 1390 Sports Betting Radio.
All right, 18 past 4 o'clock hour. As I mentioned, we're streaming live. A lot of Eagles and Sixers talk on the table right now. Get in on the conversation at 1490 Sportsbet at Rich Q on Q, and of course on the YouTube channel, which, by the way, a couple of other shows I'm working on during the week, boxing centric too. We're going to really incorporate the gambling element as well with some combat sports stuff. All right. So as I mentioned, you got Hurts, you got James Hart. I'm watching the Jameis Winston workouts. I don't know why everyone always gets on Jameis Winston. Oh my goodness. Unbelievable. Yeah, I see a lot of you guys. Yes, I stayed up and I watched the Rangers game last night. That's brutal, man. I mean, when you go back and you look at it, you sit there and say, yeah, it should have been a goal. Rangers should have walked away with that win. But hey, man, sometimes there are bad calls and there are no calls that tend to happen. And I'm not going to sit here and say, the Rangers got, screwed, but it was one of those games where it was obviously a ridiculous, winnable game. Was it not? I mean, it went to 3 overtimes and Malkin with the tip, gorgeous goal. Very athletic, right? Gets that stick up high and then boom, deflects it in 3 overtimes. Pittsburgh wins it 4-3. But it's just, it's the NHL, man. It happens, right? It happens. And if you think about it, how many times did the Rangers hit the crossbar last night? And they had the go-ahead goal disallowed when Chido appeared to score with about 3 and some change left. Pittsburgh challenged, and the officials ruled that Kakko interfered with D. Smith when he basically drove to the net and bumped into the goalie. So, not a good night for me in that regard. However, the Yankees won again, so pretty ecstatic about that. They're on a nice little run, and we talked a little bit about this. By the way, the Braves are blasting the Mets right now, 9-1, bottom 8. But the Yankees are on a nice little run, on a real nice run as it stands right now. Mets got the second of the double dip, obviously, and right now, yesterday they got the double dip. They won 5-4 and 3-0. Pardon me. And right now they're getting blasted 9-1. But how about the Yankees again last night? They won 9-1. Judge with a homer. Yanks have won 11 straight. Best team, hottest team right now in baseball. So if you're betting the Yankees, you're putting a little money in your pocket, so to speak. So it's been a nice little run for the New York Yankees. The Phillies, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't, because as much as we want to sit here and say it's a different year and it's a different Philadelphia Phillies team, it's not the case. They get 3 in the first. Then they give up 3 in the 6th. They get back a run in the 8th. And they out-hit Texas 11-9, but they manufacture 4 runs. Schwarber last night, hitless. Mr. Baum, couple more errors. Harper, hitless. Struck out twice. He's batting .242. Hoskins batting .202, albeit he had 2 ribbies. Segura batting .230. I mean, this is where you're at with the Philadelphia Phillies. Suarez takes the loss. 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 runs, 3 earned, 3 strikeouts, gave up 2 bombs. The Philadelphia Phillies right now are 11-13. So this is not where you want to be if you're the Phillies, right? Especially with the type of start that the Mets have had. And oh, by the way, they got the Mets for 4 games starting tomorrow. So go figure. I mean, listen, you can't lose to pennant in April, May, but you can really hurt your chances. And right now, I mean, look, worst case scenario, you lose another series to the Mets early on, and then you got the Dodgers in San Diego, and then the Dodgers. That is a killer trek of games coming up if you're a Phillies fan. Last thing you want to be is a 15-26 type of team. 15-30. Now, again, you're only 200-500. I get it, but the same issues are constantly rearing their head. The ugly issues constantly are rearing their head with this squad, with this Philadelphia Phillies team. It's not good. I mean, sloppy too defensively. Sloppy. Another E last night. Sloppy. And guess who it was? Yeah, exactly. The third baseman, who let us not be confused with Scott Rowland and or Mike Schmidt. Listen, it is a long season in baseball, is it not? It is a very long season in baseball. But right now, I don't like what I see from the Philadelphia Phillies. I don't. I like what I see from the Mets, and I like what I see from the Yankees. All right, by the way, Benson just tweeted this out. So, boxing-wise, Beater Biv will face Joe Smith Jr., he's been on the show a couple times, in a WBC, IBF, and WBO light heavyweight world title unification fight on June 18th in New York. You know, I got a lot of people that were and we'll get into this a little more later on the show, but they were asking me what I thought about the weekend in boxing. And I kind of teased it yesterday. I don't want to go all over the place, but I thought it was a hell of a weekend for boxing. No doubt. I really did. I thought, it was a hell of a weekend. I really did. And I expect, to be honest with you, those female fights that we saw, my goodness, you want to talk about a generational all-time classic? You got it with Taylor and Serrano, no doubt. All right, 4:26, quick timeout. We'll hit the bottom of the hour. And then, as I mentioned, Corey Parson will join us around 4:40-ish.
Over 150 brewer carnival fun, local rock vendors, and live music from Alkaline Trio, Newfound Glory, Thrice, and 4 Years Strong. 2 sessions, Saturday, June 4th, 2 to 6 p.m., Sunday, June 5th, 12 to 4 p.m. Tickets and info at acbeerfest.com.
Wyoming University Federal Law School creates leadership moments. The district attorney intern Jenny is turning your experience into a career in criminal justice. The student guardian Linda Kendra is representing real clients of the Veterans Law Clinic. And the third-year student Stephanie is teaching desegregation law classes at Wilmington High School. What will your leadership moment be? With its distinguished faculty and far-reaching influence, Wyoming University Delaware Law School puts your legal career on the fast track. To learn more, visit DelawareLaw.widenet.edu. Wyoming leadership works.
Get social with AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio. Follow us on Twitter at 1490 SportsBet. Now, back to you.
All right, 4:27. We will see if we can get Corey Parson to join us in a moment. Don't forget, Lloyd Vance going to join us in the 5 o'clock hour. Ryan Rothstein as well in his weekly spot. A lot of stuff to dive into. So you got the Sixers on the table. You've got Jalen Hurts' comments. You got the NBA playoffs. We kind of put a bow on the NFL draft. We'll do that with Lloyd. So you got a lot of stuff. Last night in the NBA too, you always need that bounce back game, right? We always talk about that. Give me that bounce back game. And last night, you got it if you're a Boston Celtics fan with that 109-86 thumping. Again, Giannis with a quiet 28. How about Brown last night for the C's? 30 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. And then shame on me. I loved Golden State last night, and I loved the over. So that's a double whammy for me. Grizzlies beat them 106-101. Morant is a beast. 47 points. The kid was unconscious. Unconscious. I mean, like I said, some players just, the bright lights don't bother them at all. All right, don't forget, 4:30, we're coming at you inside the friendly confines of the AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio Studios, streaming it live on the YouTube channel as well, Rich Q on Q. Appreciate everyone keeping us locked in. A lot of NBA to get into, a lot of NFL as well, as we welcome in our good friend, Corey Parson, of course, at the Fantasy Exec on Twitter, senior content creator at NBC Sports Bet. What's going on, Corey? I'm doing very well. Always appreciate a couple moments, pal. All right, let's get into the NBA because it's a little more fresher, and then we'll kind of go back over the draft. How about last night? Boston with a good bounce back over Milwaukee, 109-86. Morant with 47 for the Grizz. That series is now knotted up at 1-1 against the Golden State Warriors. Where are you right now with this Bucks-Celtics series? I still believe the Celtics are going to win it, but where are you at? Yeah, go ahead, Corey. Yeah, go. Yeah, no, that's okay. I'm sorry. I was talking about the Bucks and the Celtics series. Right now, that's knotted up at 1 game apiece. Where are you at right now in that series? Because I still believe Boston is going to win that series. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I still like the Boston Celtics in 6. I can see it going 7, but I'm going to stick with them. That's a good bounce back win last night. And then you got the Grizz and the Warriors. Look, you look at that game the other night. Memphis probably shaking their head saying, damn, we let one get away. It was a great drawn up play late for Moran. He just couldn't convert. And then he goes off last night for 47 and a 5-point win. I had the Warriors and the over, so shame on me. They lose by 5 and it stays under. How about the Grizz last night with a big win? Wow. Yeah, they got a young group, right? I mean, you got the good blend of younger players, couple vets here and there. You got the 76ers and the Heat. The Heat covered the number in game 1. Obviously, no Embiid, no Lowry. Same situation tonight in game 2. Miami's laying 8. I think, if anything, if you're Doc Rivers, you have to turn around and go small. I mean, and I'm kind of over the Harden thing right now. Let, say, Maxey be the facilitator. Let him create a little bit, then you can get those wide open looks. I mean, they shot poorly from beyond the arc. I think they were 6 of 34, which is not going to get it done. You have to be able to at least get one game, and I think that game's tonight. If they don't get it tonight, forget about Embiid. If or when he's going to come back, I can see the Sixers getting swept. Not happening. I have no idea, to be honest with you. And listen, you're not getting a triple double. You're not. He's not that guy anymore. I mean, I did a cut before the show where I basically said, look, at the end of the day, you got to move past it. Honestly, like the expectation that James Harden is going to go out and give you 32, 12, and 10, it's not happening. He does not want to be that guy. He's never wanted to be that guy. And you thought this could be a referendum on his career if Embiid goes out and he would step up and be that guy. So for me, it's other guys need to actually step up tonight, whether it's production off the bench, whether they go smaller, whether Bassey's in there, Reed's in there, whether they turn around and let, Harris get off early, or Thibault, Maxey get off early. Let those guys facilitate a little bit, knock down those shots. I can't even begin to tell you what the heck's going on with James Harden, man, because either you want the ball or you don't want the ball. Yep. He's horrible. He's horrible. He's Matador, man. I mean, he's just you can just dribble around him with layups, and you're right. I mean, you're 100% correct. I mean, play him to win that first quarter, put some money down, but I'll even take it a step further. You said the difference with this Heat team, they also have a better bench than the Philadelphia 76ers. The Philadelphia 76ers are not deep. They're not deep at all. So you want to make a run into the playoffs and your big man goes down, you got to have other guys. You got to rely on the bench. It doesn't help that the head coach has no idea what lineups to put in at times. Come on. He faked it. Yeah. Hey, man, you're Jay Wright. I think Doc Rivers is overrated. And in the NBA, you can win 1,000 games and they can be considered the all-time. I mean, listen, man, Larry Brown was a vagabond until he won a championship. I mean, Lenny Wilkins, am I going to sit there and say he was the end-all, be-all? Very good Hall of Fame coach. A lot of wins, a lot of years. I mean, to me, I just, how can you get to this level and coach for 20 years and play in the NBA for over 10 and all of a sudden just have these cramps during timeouts or not understand, get these guys off the floor? I don't know, man. I maybe I'm too, and I like Doc Rivers. I thought it was a good hire at the time, but now that I've seen it up close, I don't know what to tell you, man. And if they lose in this series, I think they actually go in a different direction. I think Doc Rivers gets fired. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you make a good point. You're right. I mean, but we also saw Toronto got rid of their head coach after he was coach of the year. And here's another thing too. And I don't care what anyone says here. And this is pure speculation. The Sixers and Jay Wright, they flirted a couple years ago. So now all of a sudden, maybe he's got a couple months to just kind of regroup, recharge, sit back, relax. And who's to say that if they fire Doc Rivers, that they don't make that call to Jay Wright first and foremost? Yep. be. Could be. Yeah. That's a good point. All right, quickly, let me get your thoughts on the draft. I like what the Giants did. They had to address the defensive side of the ball. They addressed the offensive side. They got kind of a Tony 2.0 wide receiver, maybe as insurance. I don't know. The head coach comes out, the GM comes out. They say all the right things when it comes to the quarterback. Go out there and sling it, man. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Now, that doesn't mean you got to be careless with the football and whatnot, but I think for the first time in a very, very long time, if you're a Giant fan, there is this sense of optimism. It doesn't mean it's going to translate necessarily into wins on a Sunday, but you kind of like the direction. They're not overthinking it, man. They're addressing the needs and they're trying to get it done with. How about the Giants draft? Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. It is. I think it always comes down to the quarterback. And look, they were 4-13 last year. Yeah, they were. Yep. Yep. Well, no, you're right. And it's almost like constantly pushing in blackjack with the dealer, right? I mean, that's you take that win, but you're not really going to get ahead at the end of the day. I mean, look, 4 wins last year. They had some games they couldn't close out. They had some games that they let slide, but I actually played the over last year. I thought they were going to be better. Maybe it was too much bias. How about the big move by the Philadelphia Eagles? And, I mentioned this too. It might be time to just say Howie Roseman kind of knows what he's doing. So they make that trade for Brown. They turn around. They had a pretty good draft as well. That kid dropped from Georgia, the linebacker. Everyone's saying he might be kind of the steal of the draft. They got a center. They got a defensive tackle. And as I mentioned, Dean, the inside linebacker. But the big move is now you're giving Jalen Hurts another weapon. Well, yeah, I mean, look, I mean, Jalen Hurts basically said, "It's my team. I'm ready." Well, you got the weapons now: running backs, offensive line, wide receivers, a heck of a tight end. Uh, if you can't get it done, then that's going to be on the quarterback. I mean, I'm just saying, if everything kind of crumbles around him, then that's a different story. Yeah, it was an interesting draft too, even from a bet standpoint, right? From a gambling standpoint. I mean, Pickett, everyone was sitting there talking about Willis and Pickett, and they're going to go, top, maybe 15. I mean, the quarterbacks, what does it tell you about the quarterbacks, right? I mean, think about this. The rest of the NFL is letting you know they weren't even enamored with these quarterbacks coming out. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. All right, my friend. I always appreciate you. And again, everyone give Corey a follow on Twitter. Does a great job with the analysis and the insight at the Fantasy Exec. I would ask, is there any obscure play tonight? All right. All right, pal. Always appreciate you. We'll talk next week. Good luck. All right. All right. You got it, my man. There you have it. Good stuff from Corey as always. Quick timeout. All right, good stuff from Corey. Always appreciate him jumping on board. Appreciate you guys on social media and Twitter, Facebook, IG, and of course on the YouTube channel at Rich Q on Q. Let me give you some baseball updates. What do we got here? Right now, Astros up on top of Seattle, 7-2, top of the eighth. Bottom five, no score, Tampa and Oakland. Pittsburgh, Detroit, scoreless. Final, Arizona gets the win over the Marlins, 8-7. The Braves over the Mets. Mets are able to tack one back, but still lose by 7, 9-2. McGill takes his first loss. Kids pitch really well with 4 wins already, kind of the early surprise. Pittsburgh lost again. They're 9-14. San Diego gets a win, 5-4 over the Guardians. The Pods are 16-8. Ooh. Cardinals all over the Royals, 10-0. And then you got the Phillies tonight. Wheeler's on the hill. He's 1-3 with a 5.79 ERA. Yankees look to make it 12 in a row tonight as well. Cortez is on the hill against the Blue Jays, -150. Total is 8 for the Bronx Bombers. There was something I wanted to point out with baseball. And I heard the guys, Cincinnati. Whew. The guys earlier today were talking about it. This is why I hammered the under for the Reds. They're 3-20. I don't know if too many people are kind of paying attention right now. So they've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in a row. They beat the Cardinals. Prior to that, they lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 18 out of 19 they've lost, including 7 straight, and they are 3-20. I got to get some numbers on the Reds, man. I mean, that's historically one of the worst starts in baseball history. I mean, this is really, really bad. I mean, they're not going to win a lot of games this year. And I don't know, man. I don't know. This is just really, and that's a good baseball town. It really is. That's a good baseball town, Cincinnati. But the fact that they're that bad, geez Louise, man. I mean, that's just, that's historically bad. Historically bad. So I pulled this from Yahoo. Reds have been awful to bettors early this season. They went on opening day against the Braves. They took one more game in that series. They started 2-2. So that was the high water mark. 4 games in, 2-2. 1-18 since. If you've bet the Reds at all since the Braves series, via con Dios to the bankroll, they are not only the worst baseball team for bettors, they're the worst by a mile. So covers.com tracks how much a team would have won or lost for a bettor who put, let's just say, $100 on them in every game. So if you were a Cincinnati backer, the Reds, the bettors, would be down close to $1,600 less than a month into the season. That's a wretched start, man. I mean, you go to the casino and lose $1,500 a month, that's a bad hit. You lose 3 or 4 in 4 or 5 months, not good. And I can't figure it out if it's their hitting or their pitching. I mean, their offense has been awful. As a team, they're .583, 583 OPS, which is the worst in the majors. The pitching, the ERA is 6.12. It's a full run higher than any other team. Pittsburgh ranks second to last. So buyer beware how you're going to bet the Cincinnati Reds. buyer beware. I mean, and I always say ride the streaks. Maybe tonight's the night where they actually get a win. I don't know, but 3-20, they've dropped 7 straight. Ooh. Bad, bad, bad as they come. Brutal. Whew. My goodness. That's really bad. Right now, they're 500 to 1 to win the World Series if you like wasting money. By the way, they're also bad on the run line. Forget about the money line. If you give the Reds plus 1.5 runs, they have a 6-17 record on the run line. So they're not losing. They're pretty much losing every game by multiple runs. Wow. Jeez. That's bad. That's bad. I mean, they were 83-79 last season in a very weak NL Central. They're right around $1.30. They're going to lose 120 games. All right, 60 to book, 60 to play with. 5 o'clock coming up. We'll take you up to 6. As always, keep it locked into a Wednesday edition of BYP. Rich Quinones here. Busy shows I mentioned. Rothstein's going to join me about 5:15, and then Lloyd Vance at 5:40 to close it out. Fast break. All right. 5 o'clock hour, 60 to book, 60 to play with. 609-445-1490. Rich Quinones here. Hour number 2 inside the AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio studios. A Wednesday edition of Back Your Play. As I mentioned, we're going to start doing some shorter programming as well during the week. Little combat sports gambling element. So we'll have a little fun with that as well. We'll check out what's going on social media, what's trending as well. I'll say that I'll have my updated list of new Netflix shows that I've been dabbling into. So we'll dive into that next week. We will definitely get Steve Gardner because I really, if this trend continues with Cincinnati, we're talking historically bad, historically poor. I want to get his thoughts on that as well, because it's like, oh my goodness. I mean, this is really bad. I pulled up during the break. So we're saying worst starts in MLB history. Okay. So let's go. If we go worst records, let's go modern era. The 2019 Detroit Tigers lost 114 games. The 2018 Orioles lost 115 games. The 62 Mets lost 120. And then if you go, obviously, prior to that, you're talking the 1800s. So if you go worst, the worst start, right? I mean, it's easy to talk about best starts when teams are going 23-12. I mean, 23-3 and 23-4. You know, the Braves started 82, all 13-0. The Tigers in 84, Whitaker and Trammell went 35-5 through May 24th, which is just crazy. The Mets had a good start, Seattle. So those are like all the great ones. Now you get to the bad ones. The 1920 Tigers started 0-13. The 1932 Boston Red Sox started 7-35. They finished the season 43-111. The 1952 Pittsburgh Pirates. Now that's 8 years prior to them getting to the World Series in 60 against the Yanks. They started 5-28. The 65 Athletics, then of Kansas City, they lost 21 of their first 26 games. Cleveland in 69, 4-21. Baltimore, remember, they started 88 with a 21-game losing streak. Chicago started 97, 0-14. Okay, so right now, Cincinnati Reds are pretty much on par with the 2003 Detroit Tigers. So if you want to talk about arguably the worst team, one of the worst teams of the 21st century, by far, the Detroit Tigers. They started the season 3-25 through May 3rd. They would go on to lose 119 games, which was the most losses since the 62 Mets. The Tigers finished the year with a negative 337 run differential. Let me just pull up. Now, just for comparison's sake, let me pull up Cincinnati. Right now, Cincinnati, minus 68. So they're basically, a third of the way? That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible when you think about it. They had a 21-game loser. I mean, wow. Kansas City, 5-20 to start 2006. So I give you the Reds, who have dropped 20 of their first 23 games to open up the season. And they're already 12.5 games back. I mean, they're not. Listen, if they win 40 games, it would be a miracle. If they win 40 games, I mean, they're going to probably be a 6-35 team, 6-40. They're 17 under 500. That's really pathetic, man. That's really pathetic. And then you look at the West, conversely, you got every team in that division with a winning record, except Arizona, who's sitting at 500. A lot of people, myself included, thought Arizona was going to play to the under. Colorado, 13-10. San Francisco, 14-9. San Diego, 16-8. The Dodgers, 15-7. Not bad, folks. Not bad. Milwaukee's 16-8. Mets are 18-9. The Marlins are at 500 right now, 4.5 back of the Mets, even though they've lost 4 in a row. Angels are 15-10. Minnesota's 15-9. They always play well on the road too, which is a good sign that they got good pitching. And the Yankees are 18-6. They have won 11 straight, and their run differential is plus 50. And their offense is starting to wake up, right? I mean, it's, listen, it's about time, but you kind of knew All of a sudden, Judge, 9 home runs, Rizzo, 9 home runs, Stanton, 5 home runs. I mean, here you go. Torres, 3 home runs. So they're starting to wake up a little bit. The Yankees are with that offense. All right, let me get to some tweets. A lot of you guys are tweeting in about Jalen Hurts, the Sixers, James Harden. We'll read them out as we typically do. Let's see what you guys have to say. BG on Twitter chimes in. Q, think about this. They traded for a player that's best friends with a young quarterback. Talk about giving him a little cushion and some confidence. Yep. I mean, A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts are really tight, man. They are really tight. So that's a good thing, right? You want that. You want these guys to not only be on the same page, but they already have a really good relationship. Connor on Twitter, Q, think about this. This is a young team. Hurts is 23. A.J. Brown is only 24. Smith is 23. I believe Watkins is 23. We didn't even talk about Miles Sanders. He's 24. DG's 27, and Malata is 25. The Eagles are building not for just this year, but for the next 10. Sure, but we also thought that after they won that first Super Bowl, did we not? Right? When they won that Super Bowl, everyone said, here you go. Here are the Eagles. They're going to be a dynasty. And that went pretty fast. But I like where you're thinking. I get it. I like the confidence. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it. All right. We got a couple of Sixers fans chiming in on James Harden, trying to respond to you guys as well. Let's see what we got here. Sarge in Delaware chiming in. Cute. Listening to you in the DE. Always a good show and some good takes. I disagree with you. I don't think Harden's shot, and I don't think he's washed. I just think he's just disinterested. Well, yeah, but what's the difference? Seriously, what is really the difference? Right? I mean, at this point, if you're disinterested, I don't even want you on the squad. I really don't. Heat fan chiming in. Q, you didn't even bring this up the other day. I was a little disappointed, but Tyler Hero outplayed James Harden in a playoff game a couple years after the trade rumors. That is what you call poetic and karma, my friend. Hero played well. What do you have, 25? I mean, look, he's a good player. Look, James Harden is an all-time great scorer, but he's just not the player he once was. Again, they need other players to step up, and nobody wants to admit that. Right? They need other players to step up. James Harden's been held under 25 points in 11 straight playoff games. Do with that what you will. Do with that what you will. He's not the same player. Other guys, it's your time to shine. That's all I'm saying. All right, 512. Rothstein's going to join us on the other side. We'll get his thoughts on everything going on, NBA, NFL draft, and so much more. Keep it locked in to a Wednesday edition of BYP.
They do a great job and have been for many years here. 831 New Road in Pleasantville. It's the place to meet where locals love to eat. Seafood omelet for breakfast, $15.29. Breakfast quesadilla, $12.29. Belgian waffle, and boy, is that a good one, $12.25. Eggs Benedict, $12.89. If you want crab meat, $15.29. And how about this one? One of my favorites, stuffed French toast, $12.29. That's Gary's. Open from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day, holidays included. They will be open on New Year's Day. Gary's, you will enjoy. Gary's located there at 831 New Road in Pleasantville. If you want directions or anything, you can call them 609-383-9980. 609-383-9980. The place to meet where all the locals love to eat.
Hello, New Jersey. Switching to Geico is a good idea, especially when you consider everything. First,
First off, Geico makes it easy to switch. They have licensed agents available 24/7 online or over the phone.
But if it's so easy, you might start thinking everything is easy, even big wave surfing. And it's not. It's actually quite difficult.
Well, if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds on car insurance. And you can keep saving by bundling your motorcycle, boat, and RV, plus your home or renter's insurance.
But saving money might lead you to make some questionable purchases.
Yeah, transaction day in the TBL. Forgot about that.
Know how hard it is to clean a 20-foot dead umbrella?
Well, they do have an industry-leading mobile app you can use to pay your bill, file and manage a claim, or add a new driver.
But when life gets a little easier, it makes you too confident, and you start calling everyone Ace. You're better than that.
Well, Geico has a 97% customer satisfaction rating and has been saving people money for 85 years. It's hard to beat that.
But you're right.
Switch to Geico. It's obviously a good idea.
Do you want your kids to have an edge in sports, school, and overall well-being? Using marijuana underage can derail that. Today's high-potency marijuana has THC levels of 15% or even higher, compared to 4% in the past. Marijuana can have permanent damaging effects on developing brains. It can lead to an IQ drop of up to 8 points when used regularly. It slows reaction time in sports and driving. Studies show 1 in 6 youth marijuana users become addicted. Your guidance matters. Parents who set clear rules help their kids stay on track and achieve their goals. Talk to them about the risks of using marijuana. For more information, visit njpn.org. That's njpn.org. This message is sponsored by the New Jersey Prevention Network and Impact NJ, and aired in cooperation with the New Jersey Broadcasters Association and this station.
You're listening to Back Your Play with Q on AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio.
So my man Kai Corlin, who covers the Sixers Wire or Insider, tweeted out, call me crazy if you want, but I think Philadelphia wins tonight. Doc Rivers-led teams always have a tendency of winning games they probably shouldn't. Go back to 2019 playoffs with the Clippers against the Warriors. That is a great thought, but I had to kind of push back and have a little fun with him. Is it because of James Harden? Right? And like I said, I think ultimately, as much as we want to sit here and keep banging that drum, it's pretty simple. Other players have to step up. And you certainly can't go 6 of 34 from beyond the arc. And that's pretty much it. You lose tonight. Maybe you're lucky you get a win at home, but I don't see this series going more than 5. I really don't. Just my opinion, though. All right, 5:15, as we do every Wednesday on a Wednesday edition of BYP. Welcoming our good friend Ryan Rothstein. Give him a follow on Twitter at WiseRye Sports Radio, WIP on air host, VSiN Live host, Philadelphia CityCast, presented by Bet Rivers. Kind enough to join us on a busy Wednesday. We're talking NBA, Philadelphia Phillies, and of course the NFL draft. What's going on, Rye? Everything is going well, pal. Let's stick with the NBA as I just kind of segued into it tonight. Big game for the Sixers. Obviously, the Heat take game 1. They cover that number, and then you turn around tonight. Heat are laying 8.5, wherever you hang your hat. No Lowry, no Embiid. I don't know where you stand with Harden, but I'm kind of over the James Harden conversation. I think, if anything, other players are going to have to step up tonight, and Doc's going to have to make those adjustments. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they have to win tonight. You got to split. No issues there. I agree with you 100%. And you think you just got to be, I don't want to say creative with the lineups, but you can't have Jordan on the floor. You might want to go small. You might want to have ball handlers out there. I'm not going to sit here and say every possession's got to run through James Harden. It's not where I'm going to go. But, there's going to be a moment in this game where maybe he starts going off, where he's knocking down a couple buckets. You want to feed him early. That's what they tried to do the other night. They did that in that Toronto game, that closeout game as well. And then they tried to get him involved early on in Miami. I think that's a smart move by Doc, but I also want to see Maxey with the ball in his hands, create a little more, give him a little more free reign. And ultimately, I don't think the Sixers win this series because Embiid's not going to be on the floor and they're not as deep as the Miami Heat. But talk to me a little bit for a moment about the lineups. If you were to make those adjustments, where would you go tonight with those adjustments? Would you go small? Yep. No, you can't. And collectively, they shot 6 of 34. They were out rebounded as well. But look, I mean, it's not like Miami lit the world on fire 9 of 36. They just got 25 from their bench, i.e., in Hero. So no Lowry tonight, as we mentioned. I think the Sixers cover, but I don't believe they win tonight. I can't for the life of me think there's going to be this, and it's so, and I know it's going to be annoying to hear, and it's annoying for me to even say, but I can't sit there with confidence and say you're going to get that throwback James Harden. Man, it ain't happening. You're not getting the 35, 18, and 16. That it's not going to happen. And I think everyone thinks there's going to be this moment during the series where you're going to get that magical moment from James Harden and he's going to save the series while Embiid's out. It ain't happening, man. And I don't trust Doc, to be quite honest with you. I like Miami tonight again at home. I don't think they cover the number. I think the Sixers keep it close, but I just think Miami's too deep. Right. Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Phoenix laying 6 tonight at home against Dallas. They look to go up 2-0. And then kind of rewind last night, I actually had Golden State and the over, pity on me, 106, 101. But I did have Boston on the money line, so I was okay with that. And I thought that's a game that Boston needed, right? I mean, you got to make this a series. I still like the Celtics in 6. I predicted 6. That was my official prediction prior to the series with Milwaukee. But I'm really surprised at the Grizzlies. I mean, Morant last night, 47, and they had an opportunity to win game 1. He just couldn't convert that layup. Yeah. What's your thought on Phoenix and Dallas tonight? Phoenix is laying 6, totals 216. Yeah. All right, a couple minutes on the NFL draft to kind of put an official bow on it. You know, I like the moves that the Giants made. They addressed both sides of the ball. I like what the Eagles did. That's an extremely young team, but more importantly, and I opened the show with it, I love the comments from Jalen Hurts basically saying, look, this is my team. I mean, he's saying I'm put the bullseye on my back, and rightfully so. You're ingratiating yourself with the fan base even more. Your teammates, they already think highly of this kid. They know he's tough and he's a gamer, but it's kind of laid out, right? You have Smith, you have Brown, you have Goddard, you have Sanders, you have an O-line, you have running backs, you have wide receivers now. I mean, it's all there for him to kind of take that next step. We always talk about quarterbacks year number 2 plus. Well, here we are with Jalen Hurts. I really like what the kid said, right? Now you just got to go out and back it up. No doubt. No, and I don't think anyone can. And I wasn't suggesting the words are going to translate into W's on Sunday, but they have talent now, and it's there for Jalen Hurts. Is my point. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to become an accurate passer overnight or have ridiculous arm strength come September, but at least they're saying by, I believe, that move and also addressing what they needed to in the draft. And that kid that fell from Georgia, I think, is going to be a steal, that linebacker. They're letting you know, look, we're kind of setting up not for just this year, but for the next 5, 6, 7 years in an NFC East that, quite frankly, is always hit or miss. I mean, it's always hit or miss. Now, I know we talked about, from a gambling standpoint, the draft itself. I was so shocked at. And McMullen, not that he corrected me, but he almost acted surprised, where the NFL pretty much told you exactly what they thought of these quarterbacks coming out. I mean, if you really think about it, the way everything kind of fell into place and Pickett finally going number 20 to Pittsburgh. I mean, this was not a sexy quarterbacking class. Next year is going to be better. But, I just think it's just the years of, let's get these guys top 5, top overall. I mean, we did not see it this year with the quarterbacks. It's just, they were not sexy. And I'll leave it at that. Yeah, it was really bad. All right. Let me get real quick while I have you for a couple more moments. I want to get into baseball because I mentioned this. The Reds are off to historically one of the worst starts to a baseball season. I mean, you got to go back to the Tigers a couple years ago. Their run differential was like minus 283. Right now, Cincinnati, if they didn't win a game, I think it was 9 or 10. days ago, they'd be looking at 17 straight losses. They're 3-20 right now. The run differential is 68. They're not even winning these games, or they're not even remotely close in some of these games where they're losing by multiple runs. So from a betting standpoint, what would you do with the Reds right now, having lost 7 straight? Would you lean them, or would you not even touch the Reds? Like the Yankees. Yep. Yeah. 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 It's a fair point. Just like the Yankees have won 11 straight. I mean, if you didn't jump, look, here's the problem. If you didn't get them when they won 3 or 4, you can't really jump on them now, to be quite honest. That's just not how it plays out. And then you got the Philadelphia Phillies, 11-13. They lost 2 straight. I know they reshuffled the lineup. Obviously, they had to make some moves out of necessity. But man, I'm telling you, what was the point of going after some of these bats right now? Harper's off to a slow start. Forget about the home runs. He's batting 242. Hoskins is batting 202. Schwarber's batting $188. You live with it because he's already cranked 7 home runs. Segura's been somewhat quiet this year. Alex Bohm, he's making errors left and right. I guess the only thing you kind of hang your hat on is that he's really the only one hitting at 322. And then maybe if you look at Castellanos, 286. But it's just, I feel as though this is the same thing we always talk about with the Phillies, right? I mean, they make the move for the big boppers. You look at the defense out there, it's a liability defensively in the outfield. We talk about the pitching staff as well. And here we are, 24, 25 games into the season, and they're 2 under 500, 11-13, third in the NL East, looking up the Mets. Yep. They have Atlanta. They have Atlanta coming up. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Crazy. Yeah. After they have the Mets and then they go on the road, 3 against Seattle. They have 4 against the Dodgers. They come back 3 at home against San Diego, 3 at home against the Dodgers. So a 6-game homestand. Then back on the road, Atlanta, and then the Mets, and then San Francisco. Bookmark it, June 1st. This team's either going to be 5 or 6 over 500 or 10 or 15 under 500. And if that's the case, you're going to start to hear the grumblings about Girardi. You really are. Depending upon how south this offense goes or how inconsistent the pitching staff is, I'm telling you right now, if this is a 15, a 17 and, 29 team, oh, yeah. Yeah, you're going to start to hear the rumblings that it's time to get rid of Joe. Yeah. No doubt. Yep, no doubt. By the way, Ryan dropped his the newest Philadelphia City Cast new episode presented by Bet Rivers, public betting splits updates, best bet, spread, total, player props, and a Phillies betting preview as well. Give him a follow on Twitter at Wise Rye. Are you going to be on with Burke at all tonight, or did that already pass? Friday. Okay, perfect. All right. We'll give you a tune, and always appreciate a couple moments, pal. All right, you got it. Be well. There you have it. Our guy, the great Ryan Rothstein. Good stuff. 5:30, quickie timeout. Sports Flash time.
I'm Seth Grossman for Liberty and Prosperity.com. America always welcomed immigrants. However, for more than 100 years, America had laws to limit the numbers of immigrants and to enforce those laws. This was so foreigners who come to live with us learn our language and share our culture and basic values. Foreigners who come here to speak their language and impose their culture and values on us are not immigrants. They're invaders. We must defend our country from all invaders, armed and unarmed. Walls and fences along our borders are helpful. However, it's also important to identify, arrest, and deport anyone who illegally gets over or around them. There are many hard cases of foreigners who were illegally brought here as children. However, they should not be an excuse for failing to immediately arrest and deport the easy cases who came here during the past 5 years. Learn more at libertyandprosperity.com. Help us reach more people. Join our weekly breakfast. Donate what you can to keep us on the air and online. libertyandprosperity.com. Thanks.
Spring into savings all month and spring out of that car you hate at Matt Black Kia in Egg Harbor Township or Tom's River. We'll take any trade, any make, any condition, even if you're stuck in a loan or lease. Matt Black Kia can get you released. Do you have a job? Do you clear $350 per week? You could be approved with 0 down and low interest rate financing. Find every clearly marked new Kia in stock. And remember, we have new Kias arriving daily. Just because you don't see it on the lot doesn't mean you can't be driving your new Kia home tomorrow. So bring any trade to Matt Black Kia, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. And don't forget, you can't make a mistake with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
Offers with approved credit through Kia Motors Finance. Not all will qualify. Go to mattblackkia.com for complete details. Expires 5/8/2022. Matt Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Tom's River.
Get social with AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio. Follow us on Twitter at 1490.
All right, 5:35. About 20 to play with on a Wednesday edition of BYP. Rich Quinones here. Good stuff from Ryan Rothstein. A lot of tweets coming in. Always appreciated at Rich Q on Q. As I mentioned, we're streaming live on the YouTube channel as well. Like, subscribe, comment. Always appreciate the banter. So, as I mentioned, the NFL never sleeps, does it not? I mean, the NFL draft has come and gone. And I kind of want to put a final bow, even though there's always, that extended amount of time to kind of talk about the NFL draft. But I want to put a bow on a couple things. We haven't talked to him since the season ended. He's been running around all over the place. And it's always good to catch up with our good friend Lloyd Vance at Lloyd Vance, NFL writer, researcher, historian, PFWA award winner. And, of course, former ESPN NFL Network contributor, BCF HOF Hall of Fame Selection Committee. And you hear him right here all the time on Back Your Play on AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio. And, of course, throughout the season, every Tuesday at 5:20. We get him on a Wednesday at 5:30. What's going on, my friend? Well, you know what? I thought maybe you were MIA. You made it big. I was waiting to hear some of your knowledge. No text messages regarding the Giants actually addressing both sides of the line. But I saw you had some really insightful tweets the last couple of days regarding the NFL draft. So let's start with the NFC East. And, again, the Eagles with the big move with Brown, addressing some needs with a linebacker, and then going after the center, defensive tackle. We never like to kind of get the grade, so to speak, but I guess as you glossed it over, what were your thoughts on what the Eagles were able to accomplish? Yeah, no, I agree. And how about the big move for AJ Brown, right? I mean, now you're giving Jalen Hurts another weapon, another toy out there. You got a good tight end, good offensive line, a couple running backs, a young receiver in Smith. That offense, if we expect what Jalen Hurts is going to be, that's not a bad offense right now on paper. And the Giants addressing the defensive line. You get the edge rusher. Thibodeau, I thought it was the best move. You don't mess around. You don't overthink it. And then you get Neal, who dropped a couple picks later right in the Giants' lap. So now you got a big tackle as well from Alabama, and you got a big edge rusher. And then they turn around, they get a Tony 2.0. I really like what the Giants did, and I really like what I'm hearing from the head coach and the GM when it comes to the quarterback. Go out there. It's okay if you make mistakes. Don't be careless, but be aggressive. I think there's a little bit of optimism. Is it going to translate into 10 wins? Probably not. But you can just see that, they're just not messing around, right? If it was Gettleman, he would have overthought it and just screwed it up. All right, so Walker goes first to Jacksonville, which, betting standpoint, not a big surprise. And then you had the kid Hutchinson staying home from Michigan with the Lions. Stingley Jr., I was a little surprised he was there at 3. Sauce goes number 4. Carolina goes with the tackle. As I mentioned, the Falcons going with another wide receiver. Not sure about that. Wilson goes to the Jets at number 10. You mentioned Davis. Pickett, the first quarterback off the board at 20. What kind of stood out that first 15 to 20 picks? Anything that you kind of said, oh, you know what? I'm a little surprised here. Yeah, it absolutely did. I actually thought, though, and let me pull up the board real quick. I was surprised that Stingley went 3. I actually had him going. Where the heck did I have him going? I want to say Seattle. I thought maybe Seattle would go with a corner. I had him at 9. Instead, they went with Cross. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Did you see that? Ryan Tannehill, everyone's giving this guy a hard time because he basically said it's not his job to mentor Malik Willis. I mean, listen, Eli didn't want to turn around and mentor Daniel Jones. The last time I checked, did Brett Favre really want to deal with Aaron Rodgers? Did Tom Brady want to deal with Jimmy Garoppolo? I mean, everyone's piling on Ryan Tannehill. I mean, why? No. I mean, worry about you. This kid's a rookie. You know what? Then he's going to be a rookie if I can help him, sure. But I agree with him. It's not his job to mentor him. And that's just me, man. I mean, maybe I'm a little more old school, but the last time I checked, Brett Favre was not going to turn around and relinquish his starting role to Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. No, agree 100%. I was a little surprised Debo didn't get moved, and I was more surprised that Cleveland didn't move Baker day number 2. And here's another quarterback who's getting a ton of grief. And the bottom line is, if you look at Baker the last couple of seasons, as opposed to prior Baker, pre-Baker, the last couple of seasons, I mean, Baker Mayfield should be in the Browns' Ring of Honor. I mean, you can win a couple games. You can win with Baker Mayfield. They went on the road and they smacked around Pittsburgh in that playoff game, and he played injured last year. And now Cleveland's just kind of raking him across the coals here in the media. You think Debo gets moved at all during the offseason? All right, pal. Listen, I know we're tight on time. We'll do it again next week. I'm glad we got you back on schedule. Outstanding stuff as always. We always can talk a little NFL with our guy, Lloyd Vance. Outstanding stuff, pal. You got it, my friend. Always a pleasure. There you have it. Quickie timeout. We'll wrap it up.
Insurance wants to save you 40% on your car insurance right now, and they will do it today. Here's managing partner Jim Yulbrunner.
A lot of people pay a lot more premium than they need to, and they may not have the coverage to justify what they're paying.
There's no charge for the complimentary insurance review. You will save money, and you will connect with a company that is an advocate, not a broker. Go to dvigi.com or simply call Jim at 215-354-0122. That's 215-354-0122.
I've met clients that think that I, as an independent agent, charge a fee versus going direct to Geico or going direct to Progressive. We do not charge a fee.
Let Galval Insurance save you up to 40% on your car insurance. Get your complimentary review. Call Jim Yulbrunner directly at 215-354-0122. 215-354-0122. Your savings are a phone call away.
Dr. Charles McKee is on a mission to eliminate back pain while helping each individual achieve optimum wellness right here in the Delaware Valley.
I was in such pain that I couldn't even walk. I would go to sleep and I would literally pull my hair from the pain. Since the day we came in here, I felt like I was in a place where they really care for people. It's not just a number.
Do you have a bulging disc or herniated disc causing you back pain? Have you been told you need surgery? It doesn't have to be that way. Many of Dr. McCabe's patients with these same disc problems have found relief with this treatment. Do this. Go to cherryhilldisccenter.com and find out your options. Stop suffering from back pain now. cherryhilldisccenter.com.
When I came here, we started, my pain level was 10, of course. As weeks went by, my pain level dropped. As of today, my pain level is 0. Is they take care of you, they make sure this is good for you.
Stop suffering from back pain due to disc problems. Go to cherryhilldisccenter.com. cherryhilldisccenter.com.
Widener University Delaware Law School creates leadership moments. For District Attorney intern Jenna, it was turning her experience into a career in criminal justice. For student government member Kendrick, it was representing real clients at the Veterans Law Clinic. And for third-year student Stephanie, it was teaching desegregation law classes at Wilmington High School. What will your leadership moment be? With its distinguished faculty and broad-reaching influence, Widener University Delaware Law School puts your legal career on the fast track. To learn more, visit delawarelaw.widener.edu. Widener Leadership Works.
The Atlantic City Beer and Music Festival, presented by Ocean Casino Resort on Saturday, June 4th and Sunday, June 5th at Bader Field in Atlantic City. Over 150 brewery, carnival fun, local craft vendors, and live music from Alkaline Trio, Newfound Glory, Thrice, and 4 Years Strong. 2 sessions, Saturday, June 4th, 2 to 6 p.m., Sunday, June 5th, 12 to 4 p.m. Tickets and info at acbeerfest.com.
Listen online all day long to AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio at 1490sportsbettingradio.com. Now, back to Q.
All right, about 5 to play with before we get out of here. I saw Netflix pulled another Will Smith show. Did you see the story where some jackass ran on stage and tackled Dave Chappelle? See, this is why when everyone was kind of, turning a blind eye to Will Smith's slap, I came on the air and I said, this kind of ruins it now for comedians, because you're always going to have someone who thinks it's okay to heckle, okay to go up on stage. And you got to think about safety. But yeah, it was a very fuzzy, grainy video because you're typically not allowed to record or shoot anything when these guys are doing stand-up. But it looked like his security kind of tackled everyone. And, that's a good thing Dave Chappelle didn't get hurt or anything like that. But yeah, so Netflix, again, I think they pulled a couple things regarding Will Smith. So I'm almost done Ozark. 2 more episodes. And wow. I'm probably going to go back and binge watch it again, but I cannot for the life of me, I cannot take Wendy on Ozark. I can't. She just, I don't know, man. She's soulless. And poor Jason Bateman, he looks like he's getting ready to just call it a day. I mean, it's bad, man. Talk about getting in over your head. Getting in and then getting in deep are 2 different things. So I got an episode plus to go. And then I have to go through my collection again. And this is what happens in the summertime. I have to find some new shows. I started to watch Top Boy, which is a really good show, man. It's shot over in, I want to say it's over in London. It's about it's like 4 different storylines, but they're all intertwined. They all connect, drug runners and whatnot. And, the guys want to kind of own and have the cred on the street. I didn't realize it was a show several years ago, and then it was canceled, and then Netflix picked it up. You can kind of tell the quality the first time around. It wasn't really good from a production level. And then Netflix injects some money and cash and juice into it, and there you go. But that's a good show. If you get a chance, watch that. Yeah, so you guys always tweet at me some of your recommendations. Keep them coming, as always, at Rich Q on Q. You can follow me on Facebook, IG Rich Q on Q. But – I'll give you my full Ozark take. 2 more episodes. And then I have to find some new shows. I started to watch Top Boy, which is a really good show, man. It's shot over in London. It's about a it's like 4 different storylines, but they're all intertwined. They all connect, drug runners and whatnot. And, the guys want to kind of own and have the cred on the street. I didn't realize it was a show several years ago, and then Netflix picked it up. You can kind of tell the quality the first time around. It wasn't really good from a production level. And then Netflix injects some money and cash and juice into it, and there you go. But that's a good show. If you get a chance, watch that. recap next week. Ruth is crazy, man. The whole show is so it's beyond like outlandishly bizarre, and the acting is just, very dry, so to speak. I don't know. I like it. I really do. I mean, that's kind of my my cup of tea. All right, so a couple before we close out with you got the Sixers tonight, and they are getting 8 or so. What is so this was, I don't know. There's a tweet going around, and again, I would probably venture to guess it's not. I mean, this is all speculation. People are saying that Embiid's going to win the MVP. We'll just kind of wait until we get the official word on that. I think he should be. There's a couple of tweets out there saying that there are NBA reps that are supposed to be in attendance for Game 3. Now, if that's the case, you would speculate, you would assume, I hate doing this, that maybe they're there to announce that Embiid's the MVP. You love to just see him out there. I mean, look, at the end of the day, Embiid wants to be out there, right? Wants to be out there. And like I said, this is on Twitter. You can't really take it for what it's worth. You have to go with the guys that are legit. So that's kind of a tweet that's circulating. I just checked Shams. Nowhere does Shams have anything tweeted like that. He did say that Gary Payton, the second, is out for the rest of not the Sears. I'm sorry. No. See, this is why we got to go through it. No, not the Sears. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get an update on that. Yeah, nothing. And I kind of go by Shams, to be honest with you. I really do. I would love to see Embiid win the MVP. But I also rather see him on the floor healthy and the Sixers have a chance to beat the Miami Heat. If Embiid's not on the floor, they don't have a chance in hell. So, again, like I said, that was the tweet floating around, speculation. If there are indeed reps from the NBA Friday, then you might assume maybe that's the case. I'm not saying this. I'm not confirming it. We're just passing along perhaps some speculation. Kevin on Twitter chiming in North Jersey quickly chimes in a little NFL talk. Q, I think the Giants are actually going to surprise people and win 7 to 8 games. Is it enough to get them that last wild card spot? Not sure, but I agree with you. I love the moves that they made. Let me get to a couple more. Franny chiming in Ellesmere. Q, you mentioned that there were no quarterbacks taken so early, and you also kind of thought that maybe it's contributed to what the NFL and the GMs think to the quarterbacks. I tend to agree. This is not 15, 20 years ago where quarterbacks would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, but here's the thing. If you look in years past, quarterbacks have gone in the top 10. Multiple quarterbacks have gone in the top 10. You didn't get a quarterback drafted until the 20th pick, and that was Pittsburgh with Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh. So, that kind of squashes what you're saying there, Fran. But I understand where you're coming from. Q, I think the Sixers win tonight because Doc's going to come up with some goofy lineup, and at the end of the day, everyone's going to think he's a genius. That's KD. Let me see. Let me get to one more before we get out of here. Donna chimes in. Rich, you made up a pretty good point in the 4 o'clock hour. You're talking about Harden not being that facilitator. I agree with you. I think they definitely need to go small. Give the ball to Maxey and let everyone get out of the way. Maybe if you can get 18 to 20 to Harden tonight, they keep it close. They can steal the game and join the show as always. Donna, I appreciate the sentiment and the kind words. We shall see. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I'll tell you something. We'll do a little recap tomorrow on Friday on the YouTube channel with Q's Cuts and BYP as well. But we will be back in the saddle next Tuesday and Wednesday from 4 to 6. As I mentioned, working on some shoulder programming on the stream that we'll be cutting up and we'll be putting out on social media. So always keep the tweets coming at Rich Q on Q at 1490 Sportsbet. Appreciate you guys keeping us locked in. Busy show, good stuff today. I'll upload all the audio as well. Corey Parson joining us in the 4 o'clock hour. He likes the Sixers to cover tonight, Miami to win. But he said if there's a game the Sixers can get, it's tonight. Rothstein, always good insight and good dialogue with him. We did that at 5:15. We'll put that up on the YouTube channel as well, talking a little draft, some NBA, and, of course, the really bad start by the Philadelphia Phillies. And then Lloyd Vance jumping on board as we recap the draft. He liked the direction of the Eagles and the Giants. We'll cut that up, and we'll let you guys give a listen as well. And you can always comment as you typically do. Don't forget, coming up at 6, you'll catch Danny Burke and Rush Hour right here on AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio, part of our VSiN content. Tonight, I'm going to go with Miami. I would be shocked if you got that 28, 10, and 10 game from James Harden. If you got 35, 10, and 10, I'll be going on the YouTube stream tomorrow, and we'll be waxing poetic about the Sixers getting a win and James Harden stepping up and making big-time plays. And I like Phoenix in the late game as well with the points tonight. We'll recap it tomorrow on the YouTube channel. Don't forget, keep it locked in AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio. Everyone have a good Sports Wednesday. Have a better week. We'll talk to you studio-wise Tuesday and Wednesday, but keep it locked into YouTube channel Rich Q on Q tomorrow and Friday for a little BYP, shortened edition, and Q's cuts. Until then, we'll talk to you Tuesday. As always, be safe, be sound. I'm Rich Quinones. Hasta luego, buen día. All right, peeps, thanks for checking out. We'll do a little recap tomorrow on the YouTube channel as well. So keep it locked into Twitter at Rich Q on Q.